Okay. You wake up in the morning and you look at your Waze, you look at your GPS, and you see there's no traffic. Some people, I'm not so into this, but some people, like Waze is, I think it's their slogan, they all can agree that traffic is the worst. I'm not so anti-traffic. I like to sometimes just think and listen to a class while I'm driving, it's fine. But some people, they just check their Waze, there's no traffic. It's not just that they get there earlier. It's the whole morning is different. They make their coffee differently, they walk differently, they look differently, they're excited. It's amazing, there's no traffic. Similar way, it says that on the holiday of Shavuos, Hashem disturbs all the accusing angels in heaven, so that nothing can stop us from connecting, no barriers separating us between us and Hashem and us and the Torah. Nothing can stop us. All the barriers are taken down on this holiday. And since it happens on the holiday, so also the day before the holiday has also from that energy as well. Today, the day before Shavuos, it's a day when the Hashem takes down the barriers and we're able to achieve things that ordinarily we couldn't achieve. For example, the Rebbe said that there are 3 tzaddikim associated with the holiday of Shavuos. Moshe gave us the Torah. It's anniversary of the passing of King David, David HaMelech, and the Baal Shem Tov. And the Rebbe said that a Jew should say about himself that I should be like Moshe Rabbeinu. How I should be like Moshe? I should study Torah. I should be like King David. And like we say in our prayers, may the Tillim that we've said be as if David HaMelech said it. And like be like the Baal Shem Tov. How could be like the Baal Shem Tov? So the Baal Shem Tov, what's the word Baal Shem Tov mean? Anybody know? Baal Shem Tov?
No.
Yes, you do.
Master of the good name?
Master of the good name. Or literally the owner, the one who possesses a good name. So how could you be like the Baal Shem Tov? If you act with kindness to people, if people know, Reb Baruch, he's a good guy. I ask him for a favor, he's always there, he always wants to help. You get a good name. That's you become like the Baal Shem Tov. You get a good name just by exuding, being who you are. You get a good name. So the point is that in this day, the days of Shavuos and the day before Shavuos tonight, we're able to accomplish things that we're not able to ordinarily accomplish. One specific thing that we're supposed to focus on tonight and tomorrow is that today is the anniversary of the time when Hashem asked us if we wanted the Torah. And what do we say? Naaseh v'nishma. We will do even before we understand. So the Rebbe said, even though it's a busy time, it's before the holiday, and a lot of things have to get done, but nevertheless, because Hashem disturbs all the accusing angels in heaven, therefore there are no barriers, and therefore we're able to achieve that our acceptance of the Torah this year should be higher than our acceptance of the Torah ever before. And so our Naaseh v'nishma, we should meditate today about how, even before we understand, we're ready to do what Hashem asks us to do without thinking why and how and what and where, and just to be there completely, as it says in the end of Tehillim, Kol ha-neshama talka. What is Kol ha-neshama talka? It's translated, every soul praises Hashem. Then it should have said Kol neshama.
The entire soul.
Oh, Kol ha-neshama. The commentaries say, the whole soul, we praise Hashem. And actually interesting, we find them, about a lot of tzaddikim, that when one tzaddik passes away, the last thing he taught becomes the first thing that his successor teaches. We find it a lot of times. Like the place where Moshe Rabbeinu finished, that's where Yeshua begins. The place David HaMelech finished, that's where the Baal Shem Tov begins. The last teaching of David HaMelech is in Tehillim, the whole soul should praise Hashem. Should be wholehearted. And so to the Baal Shem Tov, in Tzavos Rivash, his first teaching is that you should be whole, it should be full, it should be libes shalim, your heart should be full, you should be tamim, should be complete in your service of Hashem, and that's really what today is about. Naaseh v'nishma, we will to have that faithful devotion to Hashem, we will do before we understand. That's what it's about. So the question is this: Bas Lagani's last discourse is the previous Rebbe, and the first discourse is the Rebbe. So we find that concept that when the first tzaddik finishes, the next tzaddik begins. So the question is this: every holiday has like a trademark, and the one that stands out of all holidays as a trademark, different than all other holidays, is Shavuos. What's a trademark of Pesach, Matzah? The trademark of Sukkah is an esrog. Trademark of Hanukkah is a menorah. The trademark of Shavuos is, well, in Iran, cheesecake, right? In Iran, Ilio, what do they call Shavuot in Iran? They call it Moed Degol. Moed Degol. They call it the flower holiday because they decorate the synagogue with flowers to commemorate how Hashem made Mount Sinai. All of a sudden, it was the middle of a barren desert, and all of a sudden, Hashem made it lush with flowers and trees. So, but we associate Shavuos with cheesecake. I mean, if you didn't know any Torah, and there was like a bunch of different food items, and which one's associated with which holiday, the one that you would think is not like that's a trick question is the cheesecake. It can't be associated with a holiday, but it is. And the question is why? Why is so? The reasons are given. The word milk in Hebrew is numerically equivalent to 40. The word chalavi, which means milchik dairy, is numerically equivalent to 50. It was on the 50th day we got the Torah. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. There's the Mishnah Brura who says that we were only able to eat dairy because because we just got the laws of kosher meat. But those reasons don't really satisfy us. This is something which is so connected to the holiday. It seems there has to be more to this dairy meal that we have in Shavuos. There is a concept of how the Torah is compared to milk. One of the reasons the Torah is compared to milk is because when a baby is born and a baby is nursed by his mother, that's his connection to life. And so too, Torah is our connection to life itself. Torah is not just a guide for life. Torah is called Torah's Chaim. It's our life itself. It's a purpose of life. Is in order for us to implement the divine design of Hashem by doing the mitzvahs of the Torah. So Torah is life itself, and therefore it's compared to milk. Also, when a mother nurses, so the more she nurses, the more milk she has, and so too by the kindness that we give, the more Hashem blesses us with. So we do find amazing things about milk, but it doesn't really satisfy us. There must be something more. We also, it's a fascinating thing, that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was born in the 7th day of Adar, and his parents kept him at home as a secret, that no one should know that he was born because the Egyptians were throwing all the baby boys in the Nile River. And finally, after 2 months, they had to put him on the Nile River, and then Basia discovers him, and she brings him to the palace, and she wants him to nurse. But Moshe Rabbeinu refuses to nurse from anyone because his mouth was going to speak to Hashem. And then at that moment, Miriam comes before the Basia and says, "This is a Jewish baby. Jewish babies only can nurse from Jewish mothers." And I happen to know a Jewish mother who would love to nurse his baby. Who is that? Moshe Rabbeinu's own mother, Yocheved. So on the day that Moshe Rabbeinu nursed from his mother, 2 months after he was born, was the same day that he was going to speak to Hashem, 80 years later. That's another reason why we drink milk and eat dairy foods on Shavuos. But still, it doesn't really... All these reasons are almost, but they don't really satisfy. So what really is it?
He spoke to Hashem on the 7th of Adar?
7th of Sivan, or 50 days after Pesach, and it was 2 months after his birth. His birth was the 7th of Adar. The question is, was it the 6th of Sivan, the 7th of Sivan? Different opinions.
2 months.
It was 7 months after his parents separated that he. Was there one Adar? There were 2 Adars that year. Were the Adars full? The Adars not full? Different discussion, but the different ways of calculating the months of the year the Jewish people left Egypt. The year Moshe Rabbeinu was born. So be it as it may, that's one explanation. It was the same day that Moshe Rabbeinu nursed from his mother. Moshe Rabbeinu was born after 7 months, and the Egyptians went to his house after 9 months. So that was 2 months later. Anyways, so getting back to trying to understand this. So there's a fascinating teaching. Some attribute this to Ben Ish Chai, some attribute this to the Alter Rebbe. The teaching goes like this: the angels famously complained to Hashem when Hashem created man. Why you care about man? Why is man so interesting to you? Angels are much better than men, and God created man anyways. When God gave the Torah, the angels complained to God and they said, "Why are you giving the Torah to man? Man's terrible. Man's full of evil and lies." And when when Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, so the angels came before God and they said, "You see, we told you. We told you wanted this man. Look at this man, and he's not as great as you thought he is he? I know how the angel said it. They probably have a little more derech eretz, lots of such chutzpah, but they asked that question. So what was Hashem's response? Very interesting response. Hashem says, you guys keep the Torah? How about when you visited Avraham? You visited Avraham. Avraham served you milk. Avraham served you meat. And you ate milk and meat. So that's what God said. But it doesn't seem to really answer the angel's claim. How can you compare? They ate meat and milk. What did we do? Idol worship. It's a much bigger sin. Second of all, how many angels ate meat and milk? 3. Third of all, who served them the meat and milk? Avraham. Avraham was who served it. And you have to say the reason he served it was because, as Rashi says, kama ochlu, he served them as he prepared it. So he had the milk ready first. After you have milk, halacha says you're allowed to have meat afterwards. After meat, you can have milk, but after, as long as your mouth is clean, although our custom is, as it says in the Zohar, to wait an hour, as the Shalah writes, after dairy before meat, but halachically, it's acceptable, as some have the custom, after milk to have meat, as long as you eat and drink in between. So the angels were not doing so bad, but the Jewish people, golden calf, yet Hashem uses this as the argument for why the Jewish people deserve the Torah, despite them serving the golden calf. How does that make any sense? So to understand this, we just finished counting the Omer, the 49th day. Counting the Omer is all about fixing our character, and the two major character traits are Chesed and Gvura. Chesed is kindness, and Gvura is restraint, rejection. And in our lives, we know that both of these components are very critical. In a home, there are people which, they're very sweet and loving and kind and they're giving. And some people are, when you ask them something, their first answer is no. Then you explain to them why, and then they're like, maybe. And now they're more gvura, and on the other hand, they're more principled. They're better at borders. They're better at respect. There's a big difference between love and respect. People who have more gvura will give you space, will give you respect, and that's very important in a relationship. People who have more chesed, more kindness, more love, more warmth, they'll be very good at giving, but they'll have a harder time with the borders. And interestingly, the Arizal says that, not just Arizal, but Lahavdil, today's day and age, psychologists say that people need more chesed than ever before. And it's just a side note, it's important. You might think you're giving out a lot of chesed, but you may actually be giving out more gvura. Maybe if the way you measure it, you're giving out more chesed than gvura, you say more nice things, but you might say something very harsh, and that's what's remembered. So it's a good thing to ask someone else who frequents your home. Say, what do you hear? Or to ask your children, to ask, hey, what do you think your dad does more of, chesed or gvura? What do you think? Because then you'll get a real assessment, a real answer of what's really going on. Because you might think you're giving out more chesed, but maybe you're not. Maybe from your perspective you're giving out more, but from the recipient's perspective it ain't more at all. Because the way you measure it, you're measuring it one way, but the recipient is hearing a different way. You may be more critical, even giving discipline. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. It's already gvura. So some people are blessed with more chesed, more gvura. Some people are more prone to be more kind. And actually, that's what I was mentioning before. Tonight, when we're able to bring that out more, as Rabbi said, we're all supposed to ask ourselves, can I be like the Baal Shem Tov? Can I have a good name? Could I be like someone who everyone knows? This is a good guy. This is a kind person who everyone can turn to and ask for help because he always wants the help. And the Baal Shem Tov, if he couldn't help someone, the Rebbe said, he would say a chapter of Tehillim and ask Hashem to help him help that person. And he wouldn't give up. He would keep on going. In other words, it wasn't like the Baal Shem Tov had his resources and then some people could help, some people couldn't help. It was like, if he couldn't help, he would pray and try to keep helping that person and wouldn't give up. So, foods and everything in the world comes from these divine energies that we're just like in ourselves. We have these character traits. Our character traits come from the divine energies called the spheres. The word spheres means sapphire or to shine. It also means to tell our story. Our story, the story of our lives, emanates from the divine energies of the world of Atzilus, and it trickles down into us. Our chesed, our gvura, our character traits, it comes from the higher worlds. Our chesed, our kindness, comes from where our soul comes from. So foods also there's chesed and gvura. Some foods are more chesed, some foods are more gvura. Never forget this comedian. He was talking about certain foods that are more goyish foods. Some foods are more Jewish.
Jackie Mason.
I don't think it was I don't remember what it was. A goyish food. This is terrible goyish. My grandfather will show me he hated pasta. He said a goyish food. So goyish, for goyish the food. So similar way, there are chesed foods. Sugar and salt. What would you guess? You guess sugar is kindness and salt is more gvura. Milk and meat. Milk, as I mentioned before, milk is associated with kindness. Milk shows that the more you give, the more Hashem gives you. And milk is also a liquid. Liquids bind things together. Milk is also white. The color white, when the room is white, the room looks bigger. White indicates an openness and a clarity, as opposed to meat. Meat is a heavier food, and it's hard, it's a solid, it takes a longer time to digest. So meat is associated more, meat is red. Red in general is associated with Asa, which has to do with restraint, has to do with gvura, concealment, rejection. So there's milk in this meat. And what does there have to be more of? That's, as a result taught, more kindness than judgment. So that's why, in general, halacha says that we cannot mix meat and milk, of course. But not only can we not mix them together, but more, you have to wait after you have meat for 6 hours till you have milk. Why do you have to wait for 6 hours? Anyone know? Because it takes 6 hours for the taste. Taste stays in your mouth for 6 hours after the meat, and also the taste. Moishach tam. The taste stays in your mouth and your throat, and also it says that the meat stays. There's particles of the meat that stay in your teeth after for that amount of time as well. So there are two opinions: the Rashi, the Rambam. We are stringent like both opinions. So if you just chewed something without swallowing it, you have to wait the 6 hours. Or conversely, if you swallow it without chewing it, you have to wait the 6 hours. But the question is like this: what happens if you put something dairy on top of something that is flesh, that is meat? Halacha is, if they're cold, then they don't really mix together. You can't have meat and milk mixed together, but they don't mix together unless they're hot. What if the bottom piece of meat is hot and you put a cold piece of cheese on it? Do they really mix together or not? Is it considered that they were bound together? Or conversely, what if you had a piece of cold cheese and you poured some hot gravy on it? Does if the top is hot, which one is dominant? So there's an argument between Rav and Shmuel. Rav says that the halacha is that whatever is on top is dominant. So if the top is hot, we consider it as it's a hot mixture, and therefore they mix together. If the hot gravy is poured into the cold cheese, it's considered like they're cooked together, and it will permeate the cheese, and you have to have 60 times more. There's a lot of halachic discussion about how exactly they mix together and how much. And if this happens, you should consult a rabbi because it's very, very complicated. What kind of meat? What kind of cheese are there? Is it porous? Is it not porous? Is it spicy? But the general principle is that if the top is hot, then according to Rav, then it's considered like they're cooked together. According to Shmuel, if the bottom is hot, the bottom is dominant. It goes whatever the bottom is. The bottom is cold. It's not considered like they mix together. It's not considered like they're cooked together. But if the bottom is hot, that's considered like they're cooked together. So usually, we always follow the opinion of Rav in regards to kosher or non-kosher. In regards to prohibitions of between laws in man and God, we always follow the opinion of Rav, and we always follow the opinion of Shmuel, who is proficient in the laws of financial matters in man and man. This is an anomaly where we follow the opinion of Shmuel, and the halacha is that what's considered dominant is the bottom. Bottom is considered dominant. So if the bottom is hot, it's considered like there was a interaction of things that were cooked together. Okay. So now, here we have a situation where the angels are coming before God, and the angels are saying to God, hey, the Torah should be given to us. The top, the heavens, they're more important. The earth doesn't matter so much. The earth is a dark place. The earth is a cold place. The earth is a place full of lies. Give the Torah to the heavens. The top, the heavens, they should be dominant. That's what the angels are saying. There's a famous joke about the people of Chelm. What gives off more light? The sun or the moon? People of Chelm couldn't figure this out. The sun, the moon, the sun, the moon. There's a whole argument, the whole town's fighting about this for a long, long time. And finally they came to the conclusion that the moon is more luminous than the sun. The moon is far greater than the sun. Why? Because the sun gives light during the daytime. Big deal. But the moon gives light during the nighttime. Now that's an achievement, right? So in a similar way, the halacha follows Shmuel and says that precisely the lower things about us make us more in sync with Hashem's plan for creation. It's precisely the earthiest things about us, the things that we're the most embarrassed of, that make us more of a desired, more precious, more cherished, more beloved, more appreciated, more in sync with God's plan, more satisfying to Hashem because we are lower. But the angels say to God, hey, what are you talking about? We're better. So, interestingly, there's another medrash which gives a parable to explain God's response. Amazing medrash. Medrash gives a following parable. Even Rabbi Baruch, who was proficient in the whole Torah, never heard this parable before. A father comes to an expert craftsman, and he says to the craftsman, this craftsman was he was weaving silk. He made silken garments. He said, I want you to teach. His son had unfortunately lost all of his fingers. He said, I want you to teach my son how to make silk garments. Well, I can't teach your son to make silk garments because your son has no fingers. In a similar way, God said to the angels, how could I possibly give you my Torah? All that I need in the Torah is not in you. The whole thing I want in the Torah is what? Is the earth, to bring the light from the darkness. That there should be nasiv and nishma, that us human beings should say, in our environment of confusion, we should have this devotion to Hashem and say, we will do before we understand. That's what Hashem is looking for. The angels, they have all broken fingers in regards to this. They can't make the silk that we can make. There's no way, there's no connection to us. And this is the meaning of the story of the angels. When you eat meat first, then you eat milk, what's on the bottom of your stomach? We want the kindness, the milk, to be dominant, right? So, when can the milk be dominant? If what's eaten first? If the milk is eaten first, then the milk is dominant. So why were the angels able to eat the food of Abraham? Because they ate the milk first. Because the bottom is dominant. So God is telling the angels, this story itself, that you ate the meat and milk together. It's not that you ate non-kosher. It's the fact that you're considering what you ate kosher, that itself proves that the Torah should not be given to you, but should be given to Jewish people. Why? Because you're allowed. Why you allowed to eat the milk before the meat? Because the chesed, the milk, the kindness has to be dominant. That has to be in the bottom. The bottom is dominant. That's why you eat the milk before the meat. That's why the Torah has to be given to mankind. Because what's on the bottom, what's on the earth, what's on the earthiest in us has to be dominant. That's the what I want to share time. I want to add one more commercial. Commercial is this. Speaking of what's on the bottom, the Rabbi said there's an argument in halacha about celebrating every holiday. Every holiday, there's a question if you have to eat or not eat. Some opinions say you have to eat. Some opinions say you don't have to eat. Just learn, just pray the whole holiday, fast, and it's good enough. The halacha is you have to eat for every holiday. You have to engage your body too. But there's an interesting anomaly, the holiday of Shavuos. Everybody agrees you have to have a festive meal on Shavuos. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees it has to be part of your body. Everyone agrees it has to be part of the earth. Our celebration has to be a physical celebration because the Torah is given to us in this physical earth. So listen to this, Rabbi Baruch. So Rebbe said on the holiday of Shavuos, you shouldn't lift your eyes up to heaven. You should put your eyes on your shoes and look and make it pay attention. Ask yourself, am I dancing? Am I dancing? Because you have to celebrate in Shavuos. Just like everyone agrees you have to have a festive meal, so to the festivity and the happiness of Shavuos is to be in a way that you're moving with your feet and you're actually dancing with happiness. So, you could, a person might say that Rebbe says, I might say I'm more intellectual, I'm not so simple, I'm more complicated, I don't like dancing so much. And Michal, the daughter of Shaul, was married to King David. She was very critical of King David when he was dancing. And Michal Vashol was a great woman. She wore tefillin, and she was actually able to. And we put on tefillin. You dedicate your heart and mind to Hashem, and I'm more like her. So Rebbe said, "That's nice." Well, she had her perspective before King David did this. But once King David danced and with all his might, he taught us that intellect isn't what gets you there. It has to be the joy. And you have to dance to your feet. And it has to be real joy, not pretend joy. And it's not easy sometimes for some people, but that's what the Rambam says. This is the service of Hashem. This is what you have to do. And how do you know you're doing this the right way? If it's contagious. If it's contagious and we enjoy it to people around, not superficial, but I'm going to pretend to be happy. The way to know you're really doing this right is that the joy is contagious. And the main thing is that we should see the true simcha of becoming Mashiach Tzidkeinu, the freedom of all the Jewish people, of all the hostages, and all of us, from all the disturbances on this day before Shavuos. God healed all the Jewish people from all elements right before Shavuos. So all of us should be healed from everything that's disturbing us, and we should see our emissary refuah, shlema kreva for every Jew, and the emissary Yeshua. Everyone agrees on Shavuos you have to have lachem, has to be for you, has to be something that you enjoy. The words ba'inan lachem is gematria kates. That's a miracle equivalent to the time for Mashiach to come. Should be the time. Should see this happen. Take it from your mamish tonight with Mashiach Tzidkeinu. L'chaim.